Welcome to Court Helicopter News, a channel that is coming through the Court Helicopter Explainer that comes every weekend, where we give the proper position of the law as it is. And that is why it is called, But What is the Position of the Law? Have you lost your father? Have you lost your mother? Have you lost your relatives? And were these people having properties? Are you still staying on the land of your grandfather who passed on? What is the procedure when somebody dies? Have you found out that your parent or your relative has died and some people have been given your properties by what is called a will, and you say, no, it can't happen? Have you ever known that the dead can decide how they must be buried? Have you ever known that you can control your burial, who you want to attend, who you don't want to attend? Do you know that? The question is, God gave us life. But when we die, what happens? On two issues, on your body and on the properties that you have acquired in this country. And how do these properties that you have acquired go to your children, go to your sidekick, go to your concubine, go to other people? So welcome to Court Helicopter. All those questions will be answered today in a critical analysis of episode 1 on cap 160, the law of succession. Chapter 160 of the laws of Kenya. This is a law that does not apply to the principles because the properties and all issues come after somebody is dead. So let us start at entry that the law of succession, it is about who succeeds the dead person, who succeeds the mother, who succeeds the father, who succeeds the grandparents. So when a person has died, there are two issues that come into play. One, the question of burial. We shall be dealing with the question of burial in another episode. We are now dealing with the question of what happens after somebody has died. The first thing that you need to know is that you will, after somebody has died, that can be your father, that can be your mother. After burial, before burial, the first document that you have got to pick from the hospital is the burial permit. If this person dies at the village, at home, the local chief or area assistant chief will issue you with a burial permit. This document is critical because it gives you the power to bury somebody. After you have been issued with a burial permit, you'll go and bury your father, you'll go and bury your uncle. Within a very short time, you will now go and collect what is called a death certificate. Every child and everybody understand this. You must have a death certificate. After you have gotten the death certificate, you will go to the local chief to write for you a letter identifying the beneficiaries. Whether you are in Nairobi, whether you are where, after the death of your parents, for you to claim their property, you have got to go and get two documents, a death certificate and a burial and a letter from the chief. The letter from the chief has three things that it will contain. One, a confirmation that that person, the dead person, hailed from his area of jurisdiction and he was buried there. 2, at the time of the death of your mother or your father, the chief will record all the wives who were alive at the time he died and all the wives who are dead. If it is the mother, that must be recorded that was he married? He had a husband who is alive or dead. Number 2, all the children of the deceased. The children of the deceased are those children born in a marriage and those children not born in a marriage, but they belong to him. We'll deal with the question of who is a dependent later. So the chief records the wives and the children, and the chief finishes by either identify if there were other beneficiaries. For example, if he was supporting his mother, if he was supporting some orphans, they will be put in that list called the beneficiaries. Those 2 documents, you will walk to an advocate or to the court. If you have no money to represent yourself, you start filling the forms for succession. So this is what the lawyer, once you have gotten those documents, the lawyer will move to court to seek for what is called limited letters of grant. That you want to secure the properties of the deceased person, you have got to have the power to transact on the properties of your father. Until you have been given the limited letters of grant, you cannot deal with the property of the deceased person. So that is the first initial stage that you are going to face. Number 2, let us deal with the question of the wills. How can one deal with a will? A will is a document drafted by a lawyer, and that will is called a formal will. There are also other wills called oral wills, where somebody gives a talk of exactly what he wants to be done. But because that one will go on episode 2, I want to put it very, very clearly to you that the property of a dead man, the property of a dead woman cannot be dealt with by anybody. You are the child of your father. That land where you owned by your father, it is not your land. You cannot sell it. That car left by your mother, you cannot sell it. That cow bought by your dead parent, you cannot sell it or you cannot give it as a gift. The law says if you try to sell, to transfer, to dispossess, to do anything with the property of a dead person, you commit an offense called intermeddling. It is, yes, the cow, the goat, the cat, the phone belonged to your father. Your father is dead. He has his phone. You know his PIN number of M-Pesa. You just get it. You get 500,000 shillings from his account because you can access that money through the digital platform. It's your father's money, and you're buying him a coffin. You're buying him a house. You are going to bury him. There is no law that allows you to touch the property of a dead person unless you have a grant from a court of law, a succession court allowing you to deal with it. This is what is called an offence of intermeddling. And if you are found having done that, the Subaru, the DCI, will be after you, and you'll be arrested, and you'll be convicted, and you'll be jailed. We shall be dealing with the offenses later. Today was an introduction of what is the law of succession. Number two, another preamble to the law of succession is on the question, are there succession matters that can be dealt outside a court of law? No. Succession is dealt in court of law. There are two types of succession. For those who are Muslims, both of them are Muslims, the jurisdiction of their succession is at the Qadhi's court. It is not at the normal courts. So, if you are a Muslim, we shall be dealing an episode that deals with how does the law provide for succession of the estate of a dead Muslim. Two, if you are a Christian, the jurisdiction is a magistrate's court or the high court. So that we shall deal with that. Is there a timeline when you can file the law of succession? No, there's no timeline, because people can die. You are not aware that this is the procedure, so there is no limitation on when you can go to court to file for a matter of succession. That marks the end of the introduction to the law of succession. Episode 1. We shall continue with episode 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes in the law of succession. We are not wishing you to die. We are not wishing your parents to die, but everybody will die, and everybody owns a property. You might say, why am I going to do succession? My father only had a chicken. My father only had one cow. That is a property. And the only way you can acquire legal authority to deal with any of the properties of a dead person is through succession. You who wants to buy land, you who wants to buy a car of a dead person, ask them, is the owner alive? If the owner is not alive, ask them whether they have grants from the succession court to give them the power to sell you that land. Otherwise, you will be obtained and you'll be crying because there is no property that somebody can give you if he has not gone through the question of succession. Wakili Dan Stenomari, Court Helicopter News. Welcome and continue watching us every weekend. Thank you very much.